So video to our monitors takes us to the aftermath of two deadly earthquakes that rocked Myanmar and Thailand. It happened last night. It's tragic. A 7.7 magnitude quake hit central Myanmar along with several aftershocks, some of them huge aftershocks. Sent a lot of people running into the streets and then the emergency workers there to try to save lives. So it's very early right now, but we can tell you as of this hour, 144 dead, more than 730 injured, many, many more are missing. In fact, you are looking right now at the search and rescue effort underway, people underneath that rubble and the rush under that building collapse to save people in Bangkok following one of those quakes. And in fact, look at this. This is a collapsed bridge and a woman showing the massive cracks in the ground that happened as a result afterwards. And then take a look at this. Shocking moment here. An entire skyscraper, and here it goes, tumbling to the ground, just toppling there. We have an opportunity to really put a human face behind the headlines. Tim and Abby Allen are teachers from Roanoke, Virginia. They moved to Thailand over a year ago to teach in an international school right outside of Bangkok. 600 students there that they know, they love, they teach every day. Let's listen to Tim Allen moments after that quake hit.
Holy crap. So there was just an earthquake in Bangkok and we were here at the school. We got all of our students out and we're out in the open away from any buildings. We were told that in a few minutes there's going to be an aftershock. It's a really crazy moment to be here.
We have an opportunity now to talk live to Tim and Abby. You are in Thailand. You are teaching from your home in Virginia. First of all, we're so glad that you're okay. We saw one child in your arms. What's your concern for the hundreds of students that you teach and their families at this hour?
Yeah, the priority was just making sure that all of our students were out of the building and safe. And our school, we've had evacuation drills like this before. And so the school here was super prepared. The teachers were ready to go, and we were able to get all of our students out of the buildings and into safety.
So where were you in that moment? And walk us through those moments when you realized this is no small shaker.
Yeah, so I had a prep hour during that period, and I was walking back to the building where my students were at. I actually thought that it was just vertigo for a second. And then some other teachers started walking out of the buildings and they were saying, can you feel that? And then that's when I realized oh, it's not just vertigo, we're all feeling this and it's an earthquake. And so as soon as it calmed down, I pulled out my phone and I started to call my wife, who we actually live on the school campus. And so she was at home with our two kids. And then I took off running to check on my students to make sure that they were able to get out and get to safety. And I was able to direct them onto the soccer field so that they were away from any of the buildings.
Well, and Abby, we know you're mindful that you are among just 2 of 100,000 or so Americans who live in that area. Have you heard from the U.S. Embassy?
We haven't, but we have a really amazing community here on campus where we live, and we were all just there for each other and helping each other out and carrying our small kids out together with all of the students as well.
What's next for the two of you? I would imagine that you are going to be a part of a lot of these recovery efforts for weeks ahead.
Yeah, we're already involved with helping out some of the people in our community, especially the people who live just down the road from us. Some of the buildings were not quite as lucky as the buildings that we have here on campus. Yeah. Some people who live in some of the high-rise apartment buildings, they're seeing cracks that are going all the way through the building, and they're being told that they may not be able to ever return to their homes in those apartments. So we're looking for places to shelter them and take care of them.
Tim and Abby Allen, we're so glad you are okay. Thank you for those heroic moments when you didn't even think of your own safety, but you thought of the kids and getting them out. We're glad to hear a bright report amidst so many dark reports. Thank you so much for putting a human face to the headlines here on CBS News 24/7. You have our prayers. Thank you.
In fact, now we want to bring in Sebastian Wolf. He was in Bangkok today when the quake hit just a few hours ago. Sebastian, we can see people moving about the city right next to you. What did it feel like? And what do things look like now where you are?
Yeah, good morning to all. It was very, very crazy. Started out of nowhere. The whole building was just shaking. I was on the 20th floor and people started running, panicking, running out of the building. I personally thought it would be safer to just stay. Also, the building inside looked quite sturdy. I started filming immediately, and then I did see the water flowing over like a waterfall in the building across the street, and it was just something I've never seen in my life this way. And this was not my first earthquake, but for sure the strongest one. And
We were just
yeah,
looking at
now
that
it's
footage, Sebastian, of what seemed to be a rooftop pool with the water splashing over the edge of that high rise.
yeah.
We're now seeing footage of a building that was under construction, and footage also captured it collapsing. Rescue officials said they were not able to get in and rescue survivors because the rubble was so unstable. Where you are, though, seems to be unaffected. How widespread is the damage?
So here I wouldn't say unaffected. The buildings are still being checked. No one can. Most buildings are evacuated. I can still not go home. They're checking the buildings. Maybe you can hear the sirens in the background. People are on the streets, but it could be worse. There's not much damage visible here. Some of the buildings do have damage visibly outside. And the building you referenced was a building under construction that, in fact, collapsed. And as far as I know, there were people inside, workers.
Sebastian, we so appreciate you jumping on your phone and connecting with us. Stand still for us so I can get a sense of what's happening around you, and help me understand. You are hundreds of miles away from the epicenter, but how did it feel?
Very strong. Very, very strong. I don't know how strong it was here. I honestly don't know. I was on the 20th floor, as I said, and it was real movement. I could not stand still. It was the strongest earthquake that I've ever experienced.
And what are you hearing as far as the activity of emergency officials, first responders, ambulances, and the like?
Well, the ambulance I can hear in the background. What the officials say, I actually don't know. We just got outside of the building. We were told, and we got messages and information that there's a second wave coming, but that never happened. But it might come at any time, obviously. So for now, we're just getting dinner in a wide side street, no big buildings next to us, and yeah, we're just waiting for news, basically.
Sebastian Wolf, we appreciate you giving us your firsthand account. Please do stay safe and stay in contact with us throughout the day. Sebastian, thank you. For the moment, we want to bring in John Colin Mudder. He's a seismologist and professor of Earth and Environmental Sciences at Columbia University. It's great to have you here at a moment like this to help us understand what just happened. I know there are two tectonic plates there along the fault line, but help us understand how that led to what is apparently quite a shallow quake, which made it even more dangerous.
That's right. For a given magnitude, the shallower the earthquake, the more shaking will happen, the more damage there'll be. This fault, it's called the Sagang fault, and it's very much like the San Andreas fault. And the earthquake was very much like the 1906 earthquake in San Francisco, about the same magnitude, same sort of depth. These are what we call strike-slip faults. The maximum magnitude they're likely to experience is about what you just got, somewhere up in the high sevens.
What's remarkable about the building collapse that was caught on video is that some or many structures in Bangkok are built, I thought, to withstand some some movement. Is that accurate? And are buildings in Myanmar, which I would imagine is not the case, anywhere near able to withstand that amount of movement?
No, the situation in Myanmar is that the building codes are very lax, or if they exist, they aren't enforced well. They also don't have very good emergency services. They don't have anything like FEMA. They don't have a USGS. They don't have anything like that. So they'll have a lot of trouble coping with this. And that is, I understand, why they've actually been willing to call on the international community for help.
And what about in Bangkok?
Bangkok, they have much better building codes, but no building code will allow you to survive any magnitude earthquake. You'll always get damage from something as big as the one that happened in Myanmar.
One of the issues we heard out of these rescuers that we're watching in Bangkok is that the rubble was too unstable for them to attempt to rescue the dozens of people believed to be stuck inside. Would that still be the case? Would it be too dangerous right now for them to try and rescue people?
Well, I'm sure what they're worried about is that there are weakened structures and a lot of rubble like that. So an aftershock, even though they are always smaller than the main shock, an aftershock could cause even more damage in a structurally weakened building or something like what we're watching.
Yeah, our hearts go out to everyone there affected by this. John Colin Mutter, we appreciate you connecting with us and sharing your insight on this. Thanks for your time today.
Massive earthquakes in Southeast Asia have killed dozens of people and wreaked havoc across Myanmar and Thailand. A 7.7 magnitude quake struck near Mandalay, Myanmar's second largest city, this afternoon. Aftershocks followed, one of them measuring 6.4 magnitude. Officials say more than 140 people are dead in Myanmar and hundreds of others are injured. In Thailand, a high-rise building that was under construction collapsed, killing at least 8 people in the capital of Bangkok. Just incredible video there. I want to bring in Jemmy Wong. He's an associate professor of Earth and Environmental Sciences at the University of Kentucky. Jemmy, thanks for being here. Earthquakes pretty common in this region. Why is this causing so much damage and such a high death toll?
I think it's two things. One, the Myanmar is a poor country, and all you can see now is the construction. The material is really more mortar, more kind of the concrete buildings. That is not good for earthquake resistance. The other thing is quite dramatic. What I see in Bangkok. If you look at Bangkok, it's really more than 1,000 kilometers away from the epicenter. Normally, we won't see the significant damage, but in this case, you see the damage. Pretty much, you can see most high-rise building. This is one of the I can see in earthquake engineering. We so-called side effect because Bangkok is set on a thick, soft sediment. So because that sediment really amplifies low frequency ground motion energy, really cause the building shake much harder, high-rise building shake harder. You can see that's what happened there.
What hazards do Myanmar and Thailand need to watch out for now in the aftermath of this?
I think it's really important for I think, people, particularly in the Myanmar area, I think particularly in the epicenter area, all people can do, I think, right now, just immediately leave the old house because the aftershock will coming. And then particularly in an area like a rural area, their house is very shaky. Like you can see on the screen, all the news is all this mortar is really not good earthquake resistant structures. So they are very dangerous. They should move out right now.
Jemmy Wong, thank you for your time.
Sure.